Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Tyler Merkovich alongside Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. And Week 8 NFL is here, and we have one of the best matchups on hand. The undefeated Minnesota Vikings, led by Brett Favre, at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are throwing the ball all over the field, and their offensive line showed some great protection in the passing game. Running game not completely there yet. They're not blocking to open up holes, but Roethelisberger will stand back there and find his array of receivers. For Minnesota, their defense fell apart late in the game against Baltimore, but they held on to. That's all that counts. But what are your keys to victory here for Coach Childress and Brett Favre? How do they keep winning these games?
Well, keys to victory for Minnesota, number one, you want to get that running game going. You have one of the best running backs in the game, and Adrian Peterson, so attack the Steelers' front seven with that running game. The good thing about the offensive line for the Vikings, they're big up front. They average 6'6", 330. So there's with two huge tackles to pick up those outside rushes for the Steelers. So attack the Steelers up front with that running game. Two, you want to, on defense, you have to make sure you wrap up Roethelisberger, because he can slip tackles. He's a slippery guy for a big guy. So when you get to Roethelisberger, Jared Allen, you have to make sure you wrap up, no missed sacks, sack Roethelisberger when you get a chance. Third, you want to you have to blitz Roethelisberger, because you want to take away the pass option. I feel confident the Vikings can stop the run with those two Williams guys up front. So in order to get to Roethelisberger, you have to blitz him, so that way you can disrupt that time with the passing game. Those are the keys to victory for the Vikings.
And for Pittsburgh, of course, Mike Wallace is coming of age. But on defense, Troy Polamalu is back. And their secondary really needs to improve, because they've been getting a little torn up a little bit in this first half of the season. But their running game's still stout in that 3-4. They stop the run. They get after the passer. And Brett Favre better look out, because those linebackers, Lamar Woodley and Harrison, are going to be coming straight at him. What are your keys to victory for Mike Tomlin?
Well, keys to victory for the Steelers. Number one, you look at their secondary. They get Polamalu back last week. He catches an interception. Granted, it was from Josh Cribbs, but still, it's still an interception. But so the secondary looks to be improved. So continued improvement of that secondary. That's keys to victory number one. Keys to victory number two, you look at the Vikings secondary. If I'm the Steelers, I will attack that secondary all day. The Ravens had some success throwing the ball deep against the Vikings. Steelers are more potent than the Ravens in the passing game with the receivers. So I like the Steelers wide receivers versus the Vikings secondary. And third, they have to continue to get that running game going. Even though they may not have some success, that running game will loosen up that pass rush, and they'll eventually slow down the Vikings up front, and you'll be able to move the ball at will against the Vikings. I like the Steelers in this game because I like the secondary I like the wide receivers of the Steelers versus the Vikings secondary, and I think Roethelisberger is going to have some success back there.
Well, I know Minnesota fell apart last week, but this is just a trap game for people to think the Steelers are going to win, and I think the Vikings will be the last remaining undefeated team in the NFC, so I'm going to take the Vikings here in the upset. Brett Favre, they're going to run the ball, and those wide receivers are going to make some plays. Look out, Percy Harvin, Bernard Berrien, Desante Shanko is really gaining a rapport with those guys, so I think they're going to take me.
I hope you're not going to Pittsburgh this week.
For more, visit footballgameplan.com/NFL.